What is up, entrepreneurs? Welcome back to Entre Women TV, the place to be if you are indoors. Which would it be? Everybody. So, hopefully, you guys are having a fantastic day. Hopefully, you and your families are doing well, being safe, staying indoors, following the rules, or you will get hit with a stick, apparently, in some countries. However, on tonight's stream, I wanted to bring on some buddies of mine, have a little conversation around like what kind of content should we be creating as entrepreneurs right now. It's crazy out there in these streets when it comes to like navigating what you need to continue doing for your business, how what's happening right now is going to impact your business. And I think all of us have kind of unanimously decided that live streaming is the answer. As I have already been saying, video is absolutely the way, but this is a whole nother different kind of component. It requires more of us as entrepreneurs to do some different things. So I want to bring on some buddies to talk about that. And we have Dan the man, we have Candace Simmons also here as well. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourself. Dan, you go ahead and go first.
Sure. My name is Dan Norton. I help entrepreneurs repurpose their long form videos into micro content, and I also work in the live stream broadcast industry.
Well, cool. I'm Candace Simmons. I'm a cool nerd from Atlanta, Georgia, and I help students succeed in school, and I help schools succeed with students, and I do that through live speeches, speaking on stage, creating books and online courses. So I'm super excited to be here.
Dope. So obviously very well qualified men. Got probably a few other couple people that may come on, but we're gonna roll with who we have here tonight. So Dan, I know you have done you've rubbed shoulders with some of the best in the industry when it comes to like video marketing and just like promoting yourself. So like for the pulse of the community right now, just kind of like trying to figure out like, because we kind of started talking about this before we went live, so I kind of just want to pick up from where we're talking at. But when it comes to like kicking off your business or keeping your business going in these moments, like what are you hearing or what are you seeing like from other entrepreneurs that maybe were already doing video or are just like they were getting ready to, but now they're like, oh, we should stop or hold off?
Yeah, it's a hard time. I think for both people, like people that have already been making video and people who were thinking about it, or maybe people who are now forced into having to make video. Cause I think there are some people that are like, well, I need to figure this out now. Cause what else am I going to do? And so it is a hard time because I think a lot of us probably are in a state of not being motivated, right? Or just feel drained. That's the thing I've been hearing from a lot of people is I just feel drained. Or people who've started to create video and then it's like, do I want to put this out? Is it right to put this out? It's like, I think it is right to be careful with the messaging, right? Mm-hmm. What is the messaging? You don't want to just put out something that maybe is not empathetic, right? That's mm-hmm. not empathetic to what people may be facing, what you may be facing, right? Those different things. But at the same time, there has never been more of a right time to be creating content to encourage people, to motivate people, to bring your community together, whether it's your online community or your physical community near you, especially physical businesses or entrepreneurs that maybe aren't able to go and do what they were doing, depending on what your work was.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing now more than anything, live streams are becoming the way that people are engaging in content. If you turn on Instagram at any point, look at how many like dual live streams are going on or even just people live streaming and answering questions. Because on Instagram, every once in a while you'll see someone live streaming. Maybe occasionally you'll see two, depending on who you follow. Maybe you follow a bunch of people that do it already. But I'm telling you, I've seen like maybe one or two every once in a while. Almost every time I open up my Instagram, I am seeing multiple people live streaming, whether it's just them, but the majority of the time it's with someone. In fact, I've been doing it every single night on Instagram since this started here in New York. And it's like, it's been cool. Like it's so relaxed. It's so comfortable. It's casual. You don't really need a plan. And it's just kind of like, I'll just set it up right here. And I'll be like, I'm finishing up work. Who wants to jump on live and chat? I never did that before. I mean, I guess I have here and there, but it never felt like, oh, it's a compelling time to be doing this. And it's definitely a great time to be creating those conversations. And it's way easier than like, all right, now I'm going to shoot a video and light it. Now I got to go edit that and move forward. I think a lot of people are going to lean into live streaming and a lot of people actually want to because you feel like you now have this communication. Like we definitely crave that communication that we're having right now. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, I think one of the big things is it's forcing people to have to make a decision.
hmm
Like that's like the huge thing, like that I'm kind of like picking up on, and it's just like, am I gonna move forward or am I not? And it's like, Kansas, I know you did a lot of public speaking, like a ton of public speaking back
Yep.
and forth, like with schools and stuff like that. So for you, like how is this changing things for you? Because you was already doing videos. I know you
Mhm.
do some components of like live streaming. So like, where are you
Mhm.
at with how this stuff is impacting you?
So here's, real talk. I'm not trying to proclaim that I'm a prophet or anything, but I've been doing the school space for probably like last 15 years. And I'm like that school guy, and I've been preparing for times like this because I felt like the traditional school system was going to change, right? We seeing this amazing rise in college tuition, right? We see this amazing rise in student loans. Just different things are going on. A lot of more schools had been going to online colleges, right? Everybody was doing like an online college, online program. And I said, wow, what if the entire education market turned to an online platform? And so I've been thinking about that for the last few years. And so that's why on the back end of my business, I have courses and programs and online programs. So I was preparing for this time. Now, what I'm seeing is because things sort of happen, they happen pretty fast. It was like, wait a minute. School is shut down for a week. Oh, wow, 2 weeks for a whole month. Now we're sort of concerned like, this may be a real thing. And so now I have to talk to my team about, you know, what can we do differently to still be able to serve the people, serve the teachers, serve the students, serve their parents. Now we have, I don't call it homeschooling, I call it at home school, right? At home schooling. And so now we have parents working. Then we have parents working on one side of the room and then students working on the other side of the room. Things are clashing. But here's the one thing that I recommend to everyone is just take some time to listen to your people. I sent out a survey to my students, sent out a survey to my parents, sent out a survey to um, teachers, and just like, hey, what's going on in your city? What's the vibe like? And I was so surprised of what I thought they needed. And I found out, wow, it's a lot of things they needed. Number one, many college students who went home, they left college to go home to a house that didn't have internet.
And we can stop it right there. Hey, let me tell you something. If I had got back to my mom and daddy house and they did not have internet, I just need to go back to school or
I gotta
someplace
put on
else.
some lotion too while I'm sitting here talking on live stream. Put some lotion on. Dan, your live stream gotta be like, you gotta get dressed and put lotion on and everything on the live stream.
You gotta
It's
hit the
amazing.
hot
real.
spots. Yeah, you gotta hit the hot spots, the elbows, the right
Hey,
in
that
between
hot-
the webs. Yeah.
That high def camera y'all recommended, you know what I'm saying? It pick up everything, 4K, 5K.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I'm ashy.
You at home all day. Ain't no excuse for this, Kansas.
I know.
No
That's why
excuse.
I got lotion right here on the live stream. You see, I grabbed the lotion. But that's the crazy thing is like in our minds as entrepreneurs, like we can go continue with our funnels and our videos and our offers, but for this last week, I just sort of stepped back a little bit and just talk to people. Because from my perspective, hey, my life is sort of still going on the same way it's been going on.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm not getting on a plane going to travel somewhere. So I said, let me let me find the pulse of what's really going on. Few things. College students, boom, didn't have internet. So I'm thinking to myself, we don't have internet at home. They have internet on their phone.
Yeah.
But you sitting there trying to write a whole paper and even watch a live stream on your phone and take notes. It's just a lot. And then you have students coming home to parents, and now there's conflict because students want to do their work. Parents want them to go clean up, go do dishes, right?
Yeah.
And then for parents, I'm finding that many of them, they haven't had any type of communication with their teachers. And then with teachers, they're in situations where they went to school, they have this whole education degree on how to engage with their students in the classroom. But now teachers don't have a classroom.
They don't know what to do.
Don't know what to do, and they don't even know how to use live stream. They don't know how to use these technical things that we're using. And so now for me, I just had to step back to say, okay, I'm in the business of really loving on people and serving people. How can I adjust my on-stage speech to still be loving and helpful and to help people? So I think for everyone, it starts with just sitting back, asking some questions and figuring out how we can serve and best impact the people that we work with.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like nobody was preparing for this kind of stuff to happen. But it's like, again, it poses that question, what kind of content should we be creating? So I think all of us can speak from like an entrepreneurial standpoint, but then to like for the markets that we serve, where they should be serving more at. So I'm gonna throw the questions back to y'all. What kind of content do you think right now for y'all specific groups and areas, and whoever want to go first is cool, but it's like, what do you think that they should be creating right now?
Oh man, it's the well, particularly with mine, like I'm serving other entrepreneurs and creators with their video content. Like you were saying, it is kind of just reaching out and being human, right? Being human in those times, building a community. And just being able to offer help to people where they need it, but also be able to see some positive things, be able to bring stuff that's different than what the news is. I think it's on entrepreneurs and creators who are doing video, and including business owners. I was just watching a video as well, from Bruce Irving, Smart Pizza Marketing. And he was talking about, hey, like, the ice cream shop owner, right? That's shut down, right? It's not essential. What can you be doing? And he says like a daily show, right? And the idea of bringing people from your actual physical community and sharing something with their community, right? Sharing something that's positive or encouraging or brings people together, because whenever this is all over, and obviously it's never going to go back to exactly how it was, these kind of things, I don't think it ever does. So especially this, I think we're always going to be especially our generations that are in this right now are going to be very cognizant of like what we're touching and who we're interacting with. And I think there's going to be this probably built-in fear for a little while. But when we do kind of get back to whatever the new normal is going to be, that you'll be the first person they think of, right?
Yeah.
And even if it's people not buying into your business right now or buying into what you do because they're conserving some money, which I don't believe is true. I believe people are still willing to spend money because now's the time to invest in themselves. It just depends on what your offering is. If you're the person that continually showed up every single day and it was content and it was encouraging and it was exactly what they needed to hear on those times, throughout this time, you're the first person they're going to be like, I can't wait to come and see you, or I can't wait to come to your business, or I can't wait to work with you. Like when people are back to work and they're like, all right, now I could spend some money, you're the one they're going to go to. So I think the kind of stuff we need to do is always keeping that in mind, keeping those people in mind that they do need us to be able to create something that can either just take them out of this moment or to empathize with them. I think that's really going to be the key is that.
Yeah, I think another cool thing, Dan, to even accent that is to say, whatever lane you're in, stay in that lane and go deeper, right? I've seen a lot of people who are they've been jumping lanes because they're trying to be helpful. And I think as entrepreneurs, rather than jumping to another lane, stay in our lane and just go deeper. For example, I have a set of videos that talk about, 7 study habits of highly successful students, right? It's some great content. But because of the climate, because of this change, I can take that same content, reshoot it, refilm it, and say now, 7 study habits of highly effective at-home students, right?
Yep.
And I can say, 7 habits of highly effective at-home students and for the parents that love them, right? And so now, let me just stay in my lane and just go deeper. Another group of people that I work with is I help families with finding money for college, right? So rather than me jumping lanes, let me go deeper. All right, cool. Let's have this conversation now on, should we go to physical colleges or should we now enroll in online colleges, right? What should we be doing? Just got word that some schools districts they're not allowing, they're not going to have their students take the SAT or the ACT. Right? We have some schools that they've already canceled the rest of this school year. I even had one city say they've canceled all of next school year.
Dang.
Right? And so it's like,
Wow.
I think rather than jumping lanes, we got to have the conversations going deeper. And I think another way we need to adjust is maybe the offers that we're offering. Like if we're selling something or pitching something, I think that's the area that, like the little question mark, right? Number one, so, some people are still, people still buying things, right? And people always invest in things that they need. And I believe as entrepreneurs, we have to create and continue to do what we're doing, but even do it in a place where you're hitting the heart of the matter, right? Finding out what's going on with them and just really being a servant and serve them. And if you have something that you can offer them that's going to make their life better, then hey, go ahead and offer that, and offer it without fear, offer it without hesitancy, but just really going in and say, all right, cool. Let me serve you. Let me be a benefit, and create that TOMA, top of mind awareness, and they'll fall in love with you and be with you for the rest of, the days.
Yeah. That was the thing. I was just talking to my sister, because I have 21 nieces and nephews. You have them from learning to speak to out of college, been out of college for some years. So they talked about my nephew, is like trying to find his way, figure out what he wants to do. And I was like trying to explain to them, it's like, look, the jobs that they're going to get if they go for jobs don't even exist yet. And I was telling my one sister this last year. And then looking now, especially, it's like Dan, you mentioned, like, this is not going to be the same. And then Candace, like you talking about, it's just like, you have to like take a measure of the climate for now. And where is that going to be leading us to? And it's just like, it's not going to be the same. You're not just going to find the same 9-to-5 jobs. Some jobs their companies are going to find out these roles are not essential.
Right.
And these non-essential roles that we did have, we could make essential people do them, or redefining the structure completely. So it's like the whole business of what an entrepreneur is going to need to solve a problem for. It's more stuff like now, it's happening now, like what we need to be creating stuff for. That's why I'm like, I was having like a ton of emails going back and forth with a bunch of people in my email community, people that follow me on YouTube and stuff like that, just like asking questions like, how do I do this? Or should I do this or that? When it comes to like live streaming or producing content. And it's like, guys, who are you trying to reach? Who needs you the most right now? And get busy on it. Like, don't wait until tomorrow. Don't hold off until later. It's like, they need you now. And then when you showing up now, you start addressing those pain points and those problems. It's just like, I don't think that there is I think there's one thing to say about taking advantage of people. Right now, just like, oh, you need to do and buy this thing or whatever. Like, I'm seeing some people, like, they ain't changed their Facebook ads. They haven't changed their Instagram ads. It's like, are you tone deaf? It's like the world, like literally the market is different right now. So it's like, for us as entrepreneurs, the stuff that we create is still in the same lane. Like Kenzie made an excellent point. It's like still in the same lane, but at the same time, it's like, take the temperature for where we are right now and where we need to go. Because it's going to make a huge, huge difference when it comes to like what you need to create next. Maybe the products are no longer, they're no longer good. Like, as far as it was made for a time that now doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I think even with that, like even with some of the products that we do have, it's okay because we are content creators. I mean, like, I've taken certain days and just focus on content, for the whole day, film for the whole day. And then now I can add that new content to the old content, and I just throw the old content in as a bonus, And I think that we just have to be, we are creators, right? And we're in this business, hopefully, to serve people, to solve problems.
Yeah.
I love what James Wetmore said on one of his posts today. He gave like 4 or 5 reasons why entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs. And then on the other side, he had this one thing that said, hey, here's the one reason that should be why we become entrepreneurs, and that is to solve problems. And I think that's what we're put on the earth to do.
Absolutely. So Dan, like you, I I'm really curious because you have gotten to work with where a lot of us, our YouTube heroes, whether you were getting started with video or learning stuff about cameras, kind of gotten to kind of bump shoulders with a lot of the different ones. And have you talked to any of them recently? Because I know like you had the New York, and I'm saying them as in, I don't even want to say more popular channels or anything like that, but just like,
Sure.
I guess maybe some bigger channels per se, because it's like everybody looks for guidance to what is this person doing, what's that person doing. Like, so I know you had your New York creators meetup today. How did that go?
It went well. It was really cool, and I definitely encourage people like take advantage of the fact that everyone right now wants to jump into group kind of communities. We used Zoom and had a group of us get together, and a bunch of us didn't know each other. I knew mostly everyone in the room, but there's a lot of people I didn't know that and that's pretty much how our meetup goes. We meet up every month in Manhattan in Times Square, and so I was like, well, we're gonna keep the momentum going, right? We're not gonna stop. Like exactly what we're talking about. Like we're not gonna hold back meeting, and this has become an important thing for a lot of people, and especially in New York. There's not much for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and creators here. It seems like there would be, right? But it's so industry based and corporate based and advertising based. So there's so much of that there's so little offering out there because one, it's so expensive to put anything on, to put something together for an entrepreneur or solo. It's hard. So what there is a lot of on the West Coast, there's not much here. So I've been doing that with a number of different people, and it's been growing, and everyone comes in saying the same thing. Cause this is kind of where I was at before we started. It was like, there's nothing here. I need to connect with some other people.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people were happy when we were like, yeah, we're going to do it virtually. We'll do it over Zoom, and you kind of jump in. And yeah, a lot of people were saying the same thing. And it wasn't just New York. We've had a couple of people from around the globe show up and, saying, yeah, it's hard to figure out what we're going to do. We had a couple in there who have a travel channel. And for them, they're just like,
can't travel.
What are they going to do? They have some stuff ready to come out, but they're also like, do we want to post this right now? Like travel stuff. Because who's really are people going to be searching that? Maybe not, obviously there's the suggested algorithm things that people still may want to watch. And maybe some people do watch some of that because they're, wanting to, kind of remember or feel like they're somewhere. But at the same time, they may not. So it is a hard challenge, I think, depending on what you do. It's just figuring out what the pivot is. And I think this is what I've heard a lot from, especially from someone like Owen, who's Owen Video, who's my mentor. And we talk every week. And he's saying, and a lot of people say, right now is the time to innovate. This is the time. And one of my clients, he's a sales coach, Richard Morin. He's saying this is the time to expand. This was 2008 was an expansion time for businesses because you're forced to create and innovate something to help people more. And I saw there's a list of like the companies that came out of the 2008 recession. It was like Uber and Airbnb and like all these different things that are huge now that were companies that were a result of 2008. So what kind of opportunities can come out now? I mean, Diana, I was joking with you about you should create a white chocolate delivery service right now because I know you love white chocolate and you talk about it probably in most of your content.
Almost every day.
But it's like right now, think about something like how Dollar Shave Club came out and like all those things. It's like, these are the kind of times where it's like, hey, there's got to be interesting ways. I mean, potentially this is the new normal for 2020, and if this is the new normal for the rest of this year, we have to think that way. At least that's the way I'm thinking, because if we think, oh, it's going to come back soon, then we're just going to wait. But if we look at this and say, potentially this is till the end of the year or more, let me just focus as if this is the case. And that's going to make me think creatively, think outside the box, because I got to figure out where. I mean, I work in the sports broadcast industry, there's no sports. So and thankfully I have some clients, I have some things that are keeping me going. And my wife works, but it's, it's the time for me to start thinking, all right, where can I help? Thankfully, video is something that a lot of people want to learn right now or need help with. So there's that. But being able to think outside the box, potentially you might be able, if you're figuring something out, if your business is not working at all right now, what's the pivot that you can do? You potentially have the opportunity to create the next, not maybe the next big business, or maybe something else that can really help people in a different way. So there is that way, and that's kind of the way to look. Now's the time to innovate.
Yeah. And that's a big thing for me, I think, is when it comes to like school, online school. Like I did online school when it wasn't like popular and all of that. It's like went to school like 1 or 2 years. I just wanted to be in the marching band. So hopped in the marching band. It's like, okay, I'm done with the whole HBCU experience. I've gotten what I wanted. It's just like Alabama A&M University, go
That's
Bulldogs.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so played my alto saxophone, had a full ride scholarship till I flunked out because I just wouldn't go to class. They'd be like, where you going? I'm going to band practice. I have to get ready. I was so serious but it's like, but then once I'm like, okay, I'm gonna focus on school. I didn't even, what I was going to school for originally, it's like I wound up going to school for marketing. And then it was just like, or business marketing. It was a class that I wound up taking once I moved back to St. Louis. Wind up taking a class and met the teacher in the teacher's classroom and stuff like that. And he said he wanted to start a business. And I raised my hand. I'm like, well, what business do you want to start? He's like, I want to start a Corn laundromat. I walked out that day and I haven't gone back since, because it was like at that point, I'm like, I already had a business. I was already making money. And it was like at the time was doing some of that from home. So it's like it didn't require anything. So it's like I think the biggest thing like with right now is that it's required a lot of people, whether they wanted to or not, to have to make this shift online. So when it comes to like online education and stuff like that, I feel for the teachers, but at the same time too, it's like I kind of appreciate where we are right now because it's making some old stuff have to die.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's making it have to die. So it's like when so Candace, like especially like for you got clients when it comes to like education and like you really like that's your field. Like what are you talking to your clients? Like are they like freaking out about this, or are they trying to like figure should we wait and wait for the normal stuff to come back and then we are okay, or like what's the deal? What are they feeling right now?
Yeah, so I had a brainstorming session earlier with a few parents and teachers from New Mexico and California and some other places, and so they were thinking about the curriculum, right? What do we put in place so that we make sure that students are getting the work, right? A few years ago, we had this huge campaign, No Child Left Behind. And I think right now that No Child Left Behind is very important, because as administrator or teachers, you can't go into that home to see what they're getting, right? On the other end, you just get, the assignments and the homeworks and the check-ins in hopes that they're doing that. And so I think now with educators, they're trying to figure out, hey, what's the best way now so that we can assess our students? One of the cool things that I saw here in Atlanta is that some of the teachers got together and they got in their cars and they had a teacher parade, and they were driving through the neighborhoods waving at the students. Now, they didn't stop. They didn't get out and give any hugs. They kept the parade moving, right? Yeah. And they were just showing love into the community as teachers. But this is, I think, there's a lot of conversations are going on. Right? I feel like we all are creating a new business, a new norm. Like one of the fears that I have, well, I don't say fears, maybe a concern. So I was out today, had to go get me some food. And I passed one of the popular movie theaters, and the driveway, the parking lot was absolutely empty. Yeah. And I said, wow. All right. I know how many Netflix I've watched over the last few days. I done caught up on all my shows, okay. Right? Right. Caught up on all my shows. But Netflix, Prime, PlayStation View, actually they just went out of business, YouTube TV, all of these platforms, it's almost like they knew what was coming, and like they're popping now, right? Diana, when you were in online school, you were not cool. Like what? You go to online school, it was still the fake degree. Yeah, you got a fake. You got a fake degree, but now it's like, oh, everybody may have this new fake degree coming up soon, right? Right. And it's almost like, in a weird way, it's almost like, did these individuals know that this may become the norm? Like people like DoorDash and Uber Eats and all of these
Instacart, praise God.
Instacart. Like, I'm
For
like,
real.
those businesses, like, they are winning because now they stepped out. They did so. My dad used to always say to me, he said, Candace, look into the future, try to look into the future and prepare yourself. And then when the future becomes your present and you're prepared, then you'll be successful. And I think right now for everyone that's watching this, it's like, hey, look into the future. Okay, how can we do sports differently? You know, how long Madden been out, Dan? You know, Madden, Madden video games, right?
Yeah.
Maybe now we have to put like the real players in Madden in some kind of way. Like, how can we innovate sports? And it's now the cool thing we watch on ESPN, Fox Sports. And I think for all of us, not saying that we're behind the times, right? Right?
Sure.
But how can we all say, you know what? Okay, let me go into the lab. Let me just lock in for a little bit. Pray, do whatever needs to be done, have conversations with the wifey, with the husband, whomever, and say, hey, where are we going? I would even encourage people to look at their expenses. Like, go through your expenses to say, okay, do I really need this? If you don't need it, cut it off.
Yep.
Right? Because that's just another expense coming out. And I think we're in that season where you just have to be wise.
Yeah.
You know, be wise where things are concerned. But really take the time to just think, forecast. Like Dan say, if this is how things will be the next few years, okay, cool. Like, I know every company that would never ever send their employees to do, was it teleworking or whatever? They were so against it. I believe this season is going to be like, oh, wow, I love this teleworking thing.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that we're going to have a lot of commercial buildings empty. A lot of commercial buildings empty because now companies say, wow, well, we can save all this money on this building lease and we can have our people work from home and still get the same amount of results or even better. So we all have to invent, but we'll pull through this. We'll definitely pull through this.
Yeah, I think some people can be more productive at home, and then they're also tempted then to work outside of the hours that you're paid for. So I think companies are going to take advantage of that too. Because I know that happens because you're like, well, I got to keep working, it's here. It's not like you can walk away from it. So there is the challenges, I believe in that, but I do think a lot of companies are going to look at this and be like, okay, so we don't have to worry about this certain time. We could pay them less because they're not commuting. I'm a commuter. I live on Long Island. I commute and I pay a ton for a terrible train service into Manhattan from Long Island. It's like, I think for me, it's like $270 a month just to get on the train if I were to pay for the monthly.
Wow.
And that it just goes up every year. So looking at that, it's like, sure, if they're going to pay me to be home, I may consider taking a pay cut in that sense because then I'm not have to pay that money, So I think there is the advantages of that companies will see. And I think there's going to be a huge shift, especially if this lasts a while. But like you were saying, I mean, look, you said like these companies that are coming out that are like, DoorDash and, Netflix. And now I think even, what was it? Universal and NBC are going to be like allowing you to, for like $20 or something, you could get the brand new movies, and watch them once, like as if they're in the theater. With the size of TVs and our entertainment systems in our homes, it's like sometimes, it's a better experience because I don't got to hear like these kids on their phones over there. I could turn all the lights out. Unless you got toddlers like me. And then it's like, or I should say one, but it's like, there's that. Everything now is like kid stuff, but still, it's like if you could control your environment, man, I don't need to spend, $20 to go to the movies. I'd rather watch it at home at this point. I think it's definitely going to, the theater industry, I think is probably going to take a hit, if not fall in this time, because I don't know how many of us are going to be so quick to run back to the theaters anymore.
And that's the thing. It's like, I was talking to my buddy. It's like, literally, it had to be like around October or something like that. And I was telling him, I said, I would gladly pay for whether it is, I'm saying, like a one-time fee or like a pay-per-view kind of thing, whatever it is. It's like to not have to go to the theater. It's like, because I could make my dinner, be at home and, watch the movie, pay to watch it again if I really wanted to, depending on how good it is. And it's like, regardless, I'd rather pay and it even be like a little bit more than whatever the regular theater ticket would cost, because I'm getting to do it my own way. And I think like
Yeah.
this modernization of companies, like, this is long overdue. It's just like, I think you got to think like, well, even 10 years ago, if that, or well, probably over 10 years for sure. But it's like a lot of companies either were starting or just kicking off, like you mentioned. So it's like Facebook didn't exist for real. YouTube wasn't what it isn't the YouTube that like we know today is like a dating platform or something like that, you know. So Instagram didn't exist. So it's like all these different social platforms, like they didn't exist, and now they're powerhouses. And it's just like, I don't know if it was like forecasting for it, but I just think it makes sense to do it. So if companies do take a hit, if corporations do see like their buildings not having a need, I think co-working spaces, because you still got extroverts that'll want to get out the house. It's like, I'm fine at home. You know, it's like business as usual. You know, I got friends who's just like, what the hell, these kids everywhere. I can't, you know, it's like they're freaking out. And it's like, I get it. But I think co-working spaces or like for real business centers, I think what we'll see now, interesting enough, is like if they care to do any kind of problem solving around it, it's going to force a lot of people to have to rediscover themselves. Who are you now? What are your interests now? Because it's like your job, like I was talking to my sister about it, like you don't have to work your job anymore. It's like, you do realize that now. It's like companies are dying to have somebody that's good that can work from home, because their essential list of people, either they're maxed out financially with being able to pay them or skill sets or whatever. I'm like, so you could very easily migrate to something else and make your own demands. I'm like, so for those that will be wanting to go into an office or an office like space, or I think co-working spaces is going to be huge when it pops back open, because it's like, yes, I need some level of social, but I need more space to breathe, not no micromanaging stuff, not no other stuff like that. And I think that's also too, where it's like for entrepreneurs, like the kind of stuff that we're creating. If I had a co-working space, if I had a company right now, I'd be all up and through our business. Like I'd be redesigning right now. I'd be taking down cubicles. I'd be paying, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever, however way you can do that, or just like at least making the plans for it, because it's like, we don't need all of this anymore. Yeah, let's pay our people better or something like that, but do something different with it. Social media, they've been slew-footed about that. And it's like some people, again, still not kind of like picking up the pace, but it's just like, come on, man. You know, it's like, pick it up, do what you got to do to get there. So I'm honestly, like, I'm seriously on fire with all this. I'm kind of happy. Not that obviously that things happen the way they did, but it's a global time for us to kind of like pull back, refocus, look at like, what do you really care about? What do you really love to do? Or whatever the case is. And just like, you know what I'm saying? Like it makes you have to stop and think for a moment.
Right.
And I just really appreciate that moment, because some people needed it. I don't think they would have gotten it any other way. You need to maybe you need to quit that job. Maybe you need to switch gears in your business. Maybe you really find out you wasn't passionate about that and change. It's like, now's the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. Here's one thing that I've always I paid attention to. When I see major brands, when they move a certain type of way, right? So I remember doing I remember this too, doing the World Series baseball a few years ago. The World Series was sponsored by YouTube TV, right? They kept popping that ad on YouTube TV, and I'm like, wow, YouTube is really going to go to TV, right? And so now what that's doing now, we've now, I know I'm on it, right? And they've I cut away my traditional cable bill, right? I just have a great, the fastest internet I can have, and then I can stream everything. Mm-hmm. I also remember, not this past Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl before, during the commercials. You guys may remember this. Facebook had a commercial. And Facebook, during that commercial, during the Super Bowl, they was promoting Live. They kept having Facebook commercials about Facebook Live. This last Super Bowl, 2020, in February, they were promoting Facebook groups. And I'm like, why is Facebook promoting Facebook groups so much? They're paying, it was talking about these different groups. And it's like, okay, Zuckerberg, Google people, like, you guys are moving in a certain type of way to help prepare people. And I know now, you know, even on Facebook, okay, organic reach has gone down.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But now, if you have a group of people that are wrapped around a certain interest, your organic reach in that group it's popping. Like
Mhm.
it's really good, right? And now because of that Facebook Live button, we can still do certain things like this. And so I'm always um, interested when I see big companies making these shifts. It's like, why y'all making this shift? Like, what's really
Mhm.
going on? And I think now those shifts that were made is like, oh wow, now I see. Right.
Yeah.
Now I see why lives and groups and YouTube TV and Netflix they're doing they're doing well now because of the land that we're living in.
Yeah. I was listening to Nick Nimmin's stream, which if you guys that are watching this on the replay, definitely go check that out. He had a bunch of creators on his channel earlier, and Roberto Blake was on there talking about how specifically, I can't remember what the specific name for the engine is that YouTube uses, but it's like I noticed this for myself personally, because it's like I would watch something, and it's like you may watch, like if it's middle of the night, you watching those guys like catfish with Mentos and Coca-Cola. It's like, so it's like you watching weird stuff, but that'll change your experience in what you're seeing if you're not careful. And so you start seeing something, or you watch one thing that, may gets recommended and you're like, oh, that's not for me. And then the next thing you know, all of these suggestions start coming up. And so it's like you have to go in your history, delete those previously watched videos. Otherwise, YouTube is going to try to keep curating stuff for you. So I think a lot of these algorithms, when it comes to like social media, is curating that. Like they decided that it's not about reaching the most people ever, just like, because it used to be stupid when it came to Facebook. Like even like Instagram with them recently, a couple months ago, shifting gears, and it just like organic reach kind of dropped. And it's just like you really have to be curating to a specific niche in a specific way. I think they found it to be true. Like if we hone in on this one person, they love videos about craft making. Like we got Wambui made it in the comments there. She does like craft videos. Okay, if you're doing a certain kind of crafts, let's say that's sewing, knitting, or drawing, or whatever the case is, painting, we want to only give you stuff that's specific to you versus just like, here's everything about everything dealing with this, versus like really getting into your psyche, into the person that's on the keyboard. What do you like? What do you really like? And then that way we know if we can get you to stay, we can get 1,000 people to stay. And so it's like, if you can curate the content specifically, I think that's kind of what they figured out. Like, it's not about just having a page with 1,000 people or millions of people that just randomly hope to see you because they hit the like button, but that they found it to be true. Like, let's be specific to the person that is like logging in every day. What are they coming to see? What's the experience that they want? And I think that's the same thing like we could take for our YouTube channels, especially. It's just like for the person that has the audience, and Brian G. Johnson was hitting on this same Nick Nimmin stream earlier, super valuable. So if you like I say, whether watching live or on the replay, I highly encourage everybody to check that out, especially if you're talking about making videos for your business in general. And he was talking about this triangle, which obviously has a specific name for it. But it's like you have your channel, but in the core focus of that triangle is the value. You have the audience, you have the your channel, and then you have in the middle the value. And there was another point, I can't remember what it was, but the point is that based on what the audience's interest is, what is it, the thing that your channel is going to bring to them that's going to bring them the most value? So like we take it back to what we were just talking about before about entrepreneurs being like problem solvers. It has to, for it to be of value to them, it needs to solve a problem,
right?
Address the pain point for right now.
Yeah. It's interesting with my suggested feed, like what you're saying. I never really ever looked at that. When you open up the YouTube app, that first screen, when I wasn't really like a YouTube person, I've never been like a YouTube watcher just naturally. But what's interesting is it kind of, how it learns your habits, it learns the things that you like, and then you don't realize there's certain things that you actually like, but YouTube for some reason knows that you're going to like this, so they suggest it to you. That's how smart this thing is. And that's the same thing with Facebook and all of that. It's so smart because it knows you. It knows your habits. It knows everything. So it's like, well, these kind of things all connect. So let's see this video. And I didn't realize how much I love watching scam baiting videos. Have you ever watched any scam baiting?
No.
Oh, I never even thought about what scam baiting was. Essentially, you scam scammers. Right, it's like a guy who will get all these scam numbers and they'll call them and pretend to be someone that they would normally scam, usually an older person or whatever, and they'll waste hours of their time. usually doing it on Twitch or live stream or something, and then they'll turn it into a YouTube video. I watched one of those, and it was one guy like Scammer Revolts, and it was just a YouTube suggestion. And so I was like, oh, what's this? I watched it, and it's a 20-minute video. I watched the whole thing without skipping. And I was like, this is so cool. He like scams them. Like he goes in, he has them like log into a virtual PC. And then he goes on the other side. And when they're logging into he logs into their computer, and he'll download all their files and delete everything and upload a bunch of pictures to their desktop. And he'll tell them to go look at their desktop, and you'll hear the scammer like on the phone go, and then they all get mad and really angry, and it's great. I started watching that, and I am there's so much scam baiting videos in it's all YouTube suggests to me. And I don't subscribe to most of these, yet I watch them because they show up in my feed. I'm not even subscribed. That's the power with YouTube too, because people are after subscribers. But it's like if you hit that point, and you have this value of something like, I guess scam baiting is really valuable to me, I guess, for some reason. I guess it's entertaining for me, so it's like my late night watching. YouTube will show it to them, and they may never be subscribed to you. So if you're worried about subscribers and all that stuff, it really doesn't matter, because if YouTube is showing it to them in some way, right? Surfacing it, I think is the word. It's like those kind of things, then they don't need to be subscribers. And I watch all this stuff. I watch Kip Boga and all these different people that do this stuff. And that in itself is the power. If you could find the value that people want, and that could be entertainment, that could be being different in some way that people want to watch, or you're offering some kind of educational value that you can continually show up with consistently. And I think people right now are definitely in the mood for like distraction from everything. Like if I go watch something that isn't the news, because for some reason I'm glued to it and I can't stop watching, because every single hour there's a new update from either the governor or the mayor or something else. And so you can't help but watch it, because you're like, what else are we going to find out today? But then it's like, I need to watch something else that's different, or something educational. That I think is the value of that. And then taking that approach that YouTube knows what you want to see. So you putting that stuff out there consistently is only giving YouTube more and more information on who your audience is. And it will put it in front of them if it's done right, and people are watching it and getting value.
Yeah. A lot of my views come from non-subscribers, and I'm like, well, where are the subscribers at? What are y'all doing? But it's like, but for real, it's like you go back in the analytics, and you'll see for a video. But then too, it's like everybody always tries to hate on the algorithm and blame it for everything. It's just like, one, you got to be self-aware. Did this video suck? You know what I'm saying? Or did it just not like quality or how beautiful it was? Did it suck in the way that it like didn't deliver for them? It's like, especially like when I'm working with a coaching client, I'm like, you have to assume the person that you're trying to reach, when they come to your video, they don't care about your life story. They like assume they have the biggest attitude in the world, and they just want you to get to the point. Help me deliver. You know what I'm saying? And so like when I say they jaws drop, like, but I it's like they don't care about you. They can love you, but you're trying to propose on the first date. They don't care about you like that. Right. They just want to know, can you pay for my food? It's like, can you can you get the drink order right? It's just like, it's just like, so it's like in that way, it's like, so when it's like you'll see, and it's crazy, like they'll show like that funnel in the analytics, but YouTube will show like it was on the YouTube watch page, and you got this percentage or these many people from the watch page, and it's like, or based on the thumbnail, it's these many people were exposed to it. It got these many impressions, only these many click. So that'll kind of like help tell the story of the viewer. It's just like, so like Dan, you saying like the scammer. I saw one of those kind of like scammer. It was the guy called a sheriff's department. And so like she just grabbed her phone. It was some other officer that was showing it. So I've seen one of it, but it's like, obviously that's not something I've been looking into. So, but when it comes to other stuff though, like video games, I like to watch video games. Now I have a second account, not the one I use my channel for, but just like for my personal stuff. So I can get all the weirdo stuff that I like, or like, like it's this one channel called Biographics. Biggest nerd in the world. I love watching docudrama or documentary style stuff. And it's like, again, wouldn't be subscribed to the channel, watched one, saw that I was watching one on, it's like Ötzi the Iceman. It's like the oldest living not living, but the oldest wet mummy in history. And so I'm, it's like going through this, like, oh, I didn't know this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, hey, would you like to watch that? And it's like, yes, I would. And then you watch it. And then the next thing you know, it's just like biographies on this person.
Yep.
And that person is just like, I might as well subscribe. So it's like, but
Yep.
YouTube did its job recommending. It's just like, if you like this, you probably would like that. So it's like, it's always trying to be like, not just obviously serving the people that already said yes to you. It's continuing to say yes to those people, or getting those people to continue to say yes to you, but then also being that person, again, we said this entertainment, whether it's education or being different, whatever the case is, the value, you have to know what value proposition I think your channel brings. And it's just like, it was something that, I'm trying to think of what his name, from Video Creators, why am I missing
Tim Schmoyer?
Tim Schmoyer, yeah.
Yep.
And it's just like, he always talked about having a shared belief. And that resonates with me so much, because it's like, there is a shared belief, like for me. So like, I would say my shared belief on my channel is we're entrepreneurs, and we maybe don't care about being a filmmaker, but you do care about video for your business. So like the filmmaker channel is about the sexiest B-roll in the world. It's like, yeah, that's nice. But it's just like, I need to talk about, education video, it's like, but photography channels is off. So just like, I want the shared belief, like, yeah, let's make and try to get our videos as great as we can, but serve the purpose, what it needs to serve, to learn what you need to learn and move on from it. So when he talks about like the shared belief of it, it's like the value also is in what is that shared belief? What will they come to know on your channel? So like, can't just like your channel, you're doing education stuff. Like, what would you say I'll let y'all say your own stuff. I ain't gonna even try to guess. What would you say your shared belief is around the content that you create?
My shared belief is, if you can succeed in school, you can succeed in life, right? There are certain habits that you must develop now as a student, as a young person, whether it's high school or college. You develop certain habits. Those habits or those skills now are transferable, right? And they should be transferable. And so that's one of the beliefs that I have. Another belief that I have is that, listen, play your A game. Like whatever you're participating in, like bring your best. Like nobody wants to buy an ugly truck, right? People want to invest in things that are of quality. So whatever you're doing, if it's football, sports, if it's the marching band, the glee club, if it's shooting videos, play your A game, bring your best game, because I like to say all the time, only one game in life counts, and that's your A game. And so those are the two beliefs that I have. School habits are transferable, and if you're going to live this life, bring your A game.
Dope. What about you, Dan?
Yeah. I don't know if I really have a specific one at this point yet, because for my personal brand, I haven't created as much content as with like the parenting one, which I'm just finally getting back to. It's like a new parent channel called Parent Pacifier. But especially when it comes to video, it's just like the idea of not being afraid of it, right? Not getting intimidated, but you have the opportunity to reach people and make impact everywhere. I think it's just in that you have to plan and you have to have a purpose, right? I mean, I do repurposing, right? And there's got to be a purpose to repurposing, right? And there's got to be a plan to it. I think a lot of people look at like, oh, I'm just going to shoot a video and put it everywhere. But that's not really necessarily the best strategy.
Yeah.
There's got to be a strategy behind it, because you have to think about mindset and where is my audience? Where are my customers, right? Where is my ideal customer? Who is that ideal customer that hangs out on Instagram versus the one that hangs out on LinkedIn? All right. And I have to think about how I'm going to approach them on those platforms, because it might be two different people. Or they're going to operate slightly differently when they're on those two platforms. Even thinking about someone like a Gary Vee, right? Like you could see there's a clear difference. He's the same person everywhere, but there's a clear difference in his content that he puts on LinkedIn versus what is put on Instagram.
That's good. Where
Instagram, you could tell there's a lot of talk about parents, and it's guided more towards a younger entrepreneur, a younger business, and although some of the stuff does cross over and some of the stuff does get posted in both, you could see there is definitely a lot more of that, a younger focus on Instagram, where his LinkedIn content tends to be, a little more geared toward businesses. There's a lot less or censored language on the LinkedIn stuff. And it's more meetings. You can even see it like in the videos. Like, yeah, on Instagram, you will see some of his meetings where he's a roundtable. Way more of that content over on LinkedIn because it's connecting with the people who when they're on LinkedIn, they're usually at work or they're a way more business centered person. Yes, younger people are coming on and there's a mix of audiences on both, but the majority are in this particular perspective, and that's what gets posted there. So in that mindset, it's like thinking about where your people are and responding to them in that way, right? The way that platform uses it. I know that's like way bigger than just like a solid one, one or two line, but
it's right on. But still, it's like it's on the money though, because it's like at the same time though, it's giving context to like how to use these platforms. So it's like, yeah, it's like I'll see people. It's like it's at the same moment, at the same time on every platform ever. It's the same copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and it's just like I'm not coming to Instagram, even though it's like I have the same interests. I'm the same person. I go to different platforms for different stuff. It's like I'm not logging into Facebook or going to certain pages or looking at stuff on my feed for the same stuff that I do on Instagram. Because if I saw that on my Instagram, I don't want to see it. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I use Facebook for that. The same stuff I go to Instagram for. I'm not trying to watch a 25, 35-minute video for. I just want to see the quick hits or whatever, 2-3 minutes max, maybe 7 if you really got some good stuff. But it's like for real, it's not. I'm not trying to come for that. I'm going for a specific thing. I expect a specific message, even if you're teaching the same stuff. So it's just like understanding the context for why somebody goes to a certain place or whatever. Because the share or believe, again, it could be the same, but I'm expecting something different. So like bringing up Gary Vee, I think that's perfect. But we've been rolling for quite some time. But go ahead, Dan. Go ahead. Already. Take us home. Take us home, Dan. Take us home.
Well, the only thing I was gonna say is it's the approach to and knowing how people are gonna discover that content, right? You don't want to post a meme looking video on YouTube. And what I mean by meme is like you have this text and this burned in captions and maybe a progress bar. That works great on Instagram compared to maybe a video. If you post it on Instagram, what would look like a YouTube video with none of that stands out in the feed. But you don't want to post that on YouTube because people are going to look at it and be like, oh, I feel like I'm watching like a social media video. So I think having those mindsets to know like, hey, are people going to stop on this? Are people going to watch it? Is this something that's going to stand out in that spot? Yeah, I think that just goes with part of the mindset of that.
Absolutely.
I think another thing too, Dan, is I think I heard Sean Cannell says this, channel. I can't let it sit. Thank you. I'll never forget it that way. Channel and Cannell. Yeah. Sean Cannell says, research before you record. And a lot of times he's talking, specifically about content, but I will also say research before you record, meaning like, all right, cool. What type of content should I put on YouTube? What type of content should I be sending in my emails? What type of content should I be posting on LinkedIn, TikTok, or wherever it may be? Like research that platform before you record. And
that's good.
Just really taking the time to just serve people. That's what we're here for, to serve people. And the more and more research that we do, it changes how we think about certain things. When I heard these college students tell me that, hey, college is cool. I'm at home now, but I don't have access to internet. Like my whole business was like on pause. It's like I'm shooting these videos and I mean, you could see it a little bit, but the way that I want you to engage, you're not even on internet. So in my whole world, I'm thinking like, man, everybody got this fast internet, but the reality is they don't. Like there's a huge divide, even with people who have computers, people who don't have computers. All right. And so now these are things that as we're researching and we understand these things, then we can be more sensitive to what we have to do as entrepreneurs and creators. So
I love it.
Yep.
Because it's not even just like paying attention to how they use the platform, but it's like what limitations are they having? What frustration? Because honestly, 2020, somebody saying like that's a college student or whatever, your parents ain't that old. That's baffling to me. It's just like, how do you live? It's like, seriously, it's like I have never had a cable bill. I was a cord cutter before, the phrase came out. So it's just like, that was never, I'm like, I knew internet was like going to be my thing. Had the Android Fire Sticks before it was a actual thing. I got mine direct from China. Thank you very much, $50. But it's like, but for real, it's just like that is baffling to know that like they didn't have like internet. Is I don't that makes absolutely no sense. But at the same time, though, when you know your people, you know their frustrations, you know their pain points and where they're coming from, then again, it will give you a lot of insight as to like, especially like researching that as a problem and how you can solve that. I hope that helps somebody for real.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up there. Appreciate you guys. Guys, where can they find out more about you and what you do?
Hey, I'm everywhere at Cantus Simmons, CantusSimmons.com, Cantus Simmons on YouTube, Cantus Simmons at my mama house, Cantus Simmons for family reunion, Cantus Simmons during COVID-19. That's one thing that will not change. Cantus Simmons on Instagram, Cantus Simmons everywhere. Cantus Simmons at Grady Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. You know, at the end of the day, hey man, listen, like this is super duper fun, you know. And Diana, Dan, it's good to meet you guys. And we're actually kind of matching a little bit. So you know, we got the Kajabi hero with the
you know.
We color coordinated. Dan got the black and white on.
Yeah.
I'll bring the pop of color. Also, real quickly,
Yes.
I know I'm just being random. Like, I'm jealous because you guys have this little light in the background. I want. Can you give me a YouTube trick on the light? Give me. Dan, what's the guy? Is it behind all the books?
All the books.
You
Yep.
got a
all
light
the-
for every book.
Hashtag all the books.
They were.
What is that?
I think
What is that, Dan?
they're little IKEA strip lights.
Yeah.
So they're just inside the bookshelf, down in there, shooting up.
Mm-hmm.
You have one for each row.
Yep, one for each one, and then also along the inside here.
What do you have, Diana, behind the sofa over there?
I have that is actually just an LED light. It's a regular daylight temperature LED light, and some little gels that I got from the craft store that was like the color pink, and I just laid it on top of it. And then that was like $4.
Cool.
And then I from IKEA though, they had same thing. It's like one of their remote lights, so I could change the color of it. So you go in purple, blue, you know, regular daylight or whatever. So I think it was like $40. So I wanted to see like before I got actual lights if it would matter or not. And it works out, and I think it's dope. So it helps. So it don't take much.
Light behind the books.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that hashtag light behind all the books.
Light behind the books. Hey, Donna, drop your affiliate link in this video somewhere. So the show notes, the show notes.
The show notes. When Bowie got to send some hashtag light behind all the books.
You got a hashtag Cantus Simmons was my idea, right? Light behind the books.
Hey man, your patent office is closed. We can't help you out there now, brother.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, I'm happy to get you guys back on the channel. We're gonna be doing definitely more of these group chats. I don't even know if Friday or Saturday would be better. I just wanted to see like if Saturday would work for today, but I definitely want to just like open up more dialogue for conversations, different stuff around the channel. Well, I already do video marketing content, but then specifically just like from other people's perspective, especially right now we're all at home. It just would be good to again keep having community. Keep bringing up conversations, because I think more than ever we need to lean on each other for just inspiration, education, and then to just motivation.
Yes,
absolutely.
All right, well, guys, be sure. Dan, did you already say where they can? No, where can you, Dan? Where can they find you out?
Well, I am definitely not as easy. So I'm Dan Norton in most places, but on Instagram I'm Daniel Patrick Norton. On DanielPatrickNorton.com, because Dan Norton is also a rugby player and it's hard to compete with. But and then Dan Patrick is a radio show host, so can't get that or that. So either Dan Norton or Daniel Patrick Norton. You could go to repurposevideo.com. That's where I have my free guide. And if you're in the New York area or you're interested in talking with other video creators, then NYC Video Creator Group on Facebook is where we have our conversations. So.
Dope. Well, I would definitely make sure to grab those links and drop them in the description down below. But that's where we're going to leave it for today's community live chats. Hopefully you guys, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you for your time and your attention. Hopefully you got a ton of value out of this evening. And with that, guys, live with passion. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
Peace.